Hello everyone. Today I will cover the topic Animal Farm, a Fairy Story. It is written by George Orwell. It is prescribed in the syllabus of BA Semester 3 Elective English. Before deciphering the literal and symbolic meaning of the text, it is imperative to delve into the historical context to the novel. A context refers to the surroundings or the environment, which gives a background to a literary work. In case of the novel, the historical context is the Russian Revolution, which occurred in the year 1917. It proved a watershed moment in the world history, and it led to the overthrow of monarchy and the establishment of the first communist state under the leadership of Vladimir Lenin. It was eventually followed by the rise of Joseph Stalin and the birth of the Soviet Union. Second, failure of a socialist utopia. Socialism was a socio-economic or political ideology which aimed to promote an egalitarian society where land resources and other means of production, they were publicly owned. The intent was to create a social equality and reduce economic disparity. However, this notion of socialist equality, it did not bode well in practice, and it eventually, communism it hit a detour. As a result, the same thing has been expressed by George Orwell. It is very meticulously represented by him in his work, which depicts the failure of the socialist utopia. World War II, Orwell's experiences during the war, including his time as a war correspondent, sculpted his views on totalitarianism. The novel also makes us witness the one aspect, that is totalitarianism. It witnesses, in the sense, it talks about the transformation of Soviet Union from communism falling into grip to totalitarianism. And totalitarianism was a system of government where the state regulated every aspect of public life. It controlled, and it led to absolute dictatorship. Coming back to the title speaks for itself. It is a fable. It is fable in the sense that it talks about, it deals with anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism are when animals or non-human entities possess human-like qualities. And this particular trope, it makes Orwell express complex issues in an engaging manner. Second, it's an allegory. An allegory is a literary work where there are two meanings to it. First, there is a literal meaning, and second, there is a surface meaning. Third, it is didactic. It intends to teach a moral, and it is a commentary on human behavior and society. Third, simplicity of language. The language of the fable, it has to be easily, it is supposed to be easily comprehensible to everyone. And the universal appeal, its themes of power, oppression, and the potential for corruption, they are relevant to different political and social settings. The themes which the fable should convey, they should transcend the realms of space and time. And they could be culture specific, but they should talk about those themes which are applicable to the general audience. Next, the brief storyline. Old Major relates his dream of an independent farm to other animals. Old Major is an old boar who feels miserable at the impoverished conditions of farm animals, and it is he who germinates the seeds of rebellion among other animals. Coerced by him, all the animals resort to rebellion in the manor farm, and finally they drive away the owner of the manor farm, Mr. Jones. Power consolidates into the hands of pigs Snowball and Napoleon after driving away Mr. Jones. Snowball and Napoleon seize control of the farm. It eventually leads to Napoleon becoming an absolute dictator, where he exercises a totalitarian regime on other animals. 7 Commandments of Animalism. Animalism was an idea, it was an ideology which embodied animals' vision of equality, and freedom. These were the principles laid by the old major, and these principles were to be abided by everyone in the farm. The first one was, whatever goes upon two legs is an enemy, whatever goes upon four legs or has wings is a friend, no animal shall wear clothes, no animal shall drink alcohol, no animal shall sleep in a bed, no animal shall kill any other animal, and all animals are equal. These are the final commandments. As the story unfolds, these final commandments, they undergo certain changes, subtle changes but significant, which insinuate the failure of the ideals of animalism itself. The first three commandments remain the same, but the other commandments, they undergo a change. No animal shall sleep in bed with sheets, no animal shall drink alcohol to excess, no animal shall kill any other animal without cause. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. So this also hints at the orchestrated manipulation which the pigs, which the other animals are subject to, and pigs use it to their own privilege. The last particular commandment, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. It is a very clever specimen of verbal irony, which shows a striking contrast between what is said and what is meant. Critical analysis. This particular novel, it is a critique of political power. It documents the shift in power dynamics and the social hierarchies. It exposes the pitfalls of Russian Revolution. It portrays a very dark side to the Russian Revolution, the economic collapse, and the failure of a democratic system in a state. Next, timeless exploration of human tendency to corrupt ideals for personal gain. Political leadership gets corrupted under the influence of pigs, and they eventually succumbed to the allure of power and wreak havoc upon the farm. Characters and their real-life representations. Old Major, he represents Karl Marx. Old Major serves as the inspiration of our Animals Rebellion. Karl Marx was the father of communism, and he was the one who formulated the communist ideology. And because of him, the other animals, they were able to see the rosy picture of a rebellion. Napoleon, Joseph Stalin, Napoleon becomes the leader and dictator of Animal Farm. Napoleon represents Joseph Stalin, who was the leader of the Soviet Union. Snowball represents Leon Trotsky, and he was an intellectual and strategic planner on the farm. And Trotsky was also a key figure in the initial days of the Soviet Union. Mr. Jones, Tsar Nicholas II. Mr. Jones, he was the irresponsible and oppressive owner of Manor Farm. He was also the Tsar Nicholas. He was the last Tsar of Russia. Squealer, propaganda machine. He represents a propaganda machine. Squealer is the pig who spreads propaganda and manipulates information. He is the one who misconstrues facts and make other animals believe that they are extremely happy despite their loathsome conditions. Boxer represents proletariat, the working class. He is the loyal and hardworking horse. Molly represents the bourgeois class, the upper class, the horse who is more concerned with personal luxury. This particular class is resistant to change. Benjamin represents cynical individuals. He is the donkey with a skeptical outlook. So he is a kind of a character who embodies pessimism and cynicism. Thematic concerns in the novel. First is propaganda and manipulation. What Orwell tries to portray through his work is how those in power use language and information to maintain authority and to suppress rebellion. In this particular work, this strategy of manipulation is done by Squealer. He is the master propagandist. Marxist perspective. The novel talks about a class struggle between the bourgeois and the proletariats, and also the use of force and repression by the ruling classes for their own interest. Inconsequential effect of religion. There is a very fleeting reference to religion through the character of Moses, who constantly talks about the sugar candy mountain, where he says all animals will go after death. I believe this statement, it is diversionary, which makes animals accept their plight passively. Role of fear. Fear becomes an instrumental tool in the hands of the pigs to suppress dissent and opposition. So fear in this case represents the dogs of Joseph Stalin, called Cheka, the secret Soviet police. Cyclical nature of political corruption. What Orwell wants to convey is that power is essentially a repetitive oppressive structure, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. One dictatorship is replaced by another dictatorship, and this is exactly what happens in the novel. Reading against the grain. Reading against the grain is a kind of a strategy where, keeping in mind the volatile changes in the higher education, students ought to be encouraged to read against the grain. There's a kind of a strategy where students are taught to analyze the dominant reading of the text and at the same time decode the alternate reading of the text. The purpose of reading against the grain is to, inculcate critical abilities in students and also make them highly conscious of the nuanced reading of the text. At one level, neo-colonial aspect could be applied to the novel, though it is explicitly not a neo-colonial novel, but the themes of oppression, domination, they could be covered under this area. So in that sense, this will open up more interpretations. Psychological insights of the characters like Boxer, the hardworking Boxer, and Molly, they could be, more psychological depth should be given to those characters. And third is the gendered analysis. Gendered analysis is when we look at this novel, the character of Molly and that of Mrs. Jones, they do not, these characters remain in hindsight, because Marxism has also been accused of his increasingly patriarchal stance, and we also feel that the same work is also fraught with the same limitation of lacking a female perspective. I would also like to point out that this particular novel, it is called as a novel, but to be more precise, it is a novella, because it spans somewhere, the length spans somewhere between a short story and a novel, so, in terms of its length and its complexity. So in that sense, it is a novella. Thank you.